Call me. You want to get your kicks? Call me. You want your cheese tricks? Call me. May have the remix? Call me. From the other day, like I play some boy, I play. Me hear the girls calling, me hear the girls bawling, me hear the girls crying out. Just a beat it.
I wanted to be the wickedest slam. I need a 1, 2, 3, how a man. I wanted to do it, time it to the fan. I thought back in time, but it's biz like a man. I wanted to be the wickedest slam. I need a 1, 2, 3, how a man. I want a dude who would do me in his fan. I thought back in time, but it's biz like a man.
Yeah. If you love it, allow me one time. Allow me if you want the wickedest wine. I know it's been a while, but baby, never mind.
Testing 1, 2, 2.
Satisfaction, I be girl dream. Me love me put it on, me them
1, 2, 2.
Me get a call from sexy Maxine. She never message from the young side machine. She's a beanie.
I wanted to be the wickedest slam.
Good morning once again, fellows in the house, ladies and gentlemen. We are to commence the event in the next 10 minutes. Information available here has it that the Honorable Minister will be with us by 11 o'clock. So I implore all felicitations to be suspended for now. While we are on that, it's good we do some housekeeping. I'm very sure every one of us there are no masks, and we are complying with the dictates of the COVID-19 protocols. To my right in the hall and to the left of all of you here seated are 2 exits. The exit leads to the convenience. Perhaps because of the temperature of the room, you would like to ease yourself. That's the exit. The ushers will show you the place. And if you are also here and you are glad to be here and you still want to felicitate, it's good you do that first with your neighbor. So I would like every one of us to look at our neighbor and say, welcome to Abuja. Please look at our neighbor and say, welcome to Abuja. Look at your neighbor and say, it is well with you. Then finally, look at your beautiful neighbor and handsome neighbor and say, I am proud to be a surveyor. I am proud. Thank you. We'll be bringing subsequent announcements. And I want to announce also that we would have loved every one of us to welcome the Honorable Minister for honoring us. But we have decided that those on this part of the hall will rise to receive him upon his arrival, provided he would permit that. I know the Honorable Minister is a very swift person. He might decide to come in straight. But if we are to receive him, as the protocol should be, members of the I table will go and do that on our behalf. Thank you very much. We are glad to have you around. I'm very sure you know who is talking to you. The mask will not let you see me well. My name is Aro Lambo Yusuf. I'm the Publicity Secretary of the Nigerian Surveyors. Thank you very much.
She gave me even on the wooden floor. Said she want a man like me in her life. No problem in some bones alright. She talk about it each and every night. I don't wanna talk about what I had before. So what I wanna do right now is give you love, your Lord. Baby, won't so long, only you can turn me on. Won't so long.
Once again, ladies and gentlemen, please, I'm appealing that we take our seat while we listen to this announcement. in order that we will do everything according to the scheduled time, it's always good to appreciate our fathers, mothers that are here with us, especially past presidents of the institution. Please, ladies and gentlemen, you are all aware that we have another Nigerian amongst us, a past president. Please put your hands together for Surveyor Solomon J. Ojekere, MFR, FNIs, PPNIs. We were with him in Edo 2 weeks ago to celebrate his birthday. It was his 90th birthday. We are lucky to have him around. May we all live to reach that age and go beyond it. Also here with us is our own father, an octogenarian. I'm talking of no other person than Surveyor Reverend Dr. Bosun Aide, FNIS, PPNIS. And one beautiful thing I admire about him is that he's here and his best half is here. I don't want to say better half anymore, for the time they have spent together. She's not our past president, but I will do the honor to recognize Mommy Bosun Aide. Please put your hands together for her. Also here in the hall with us is Surveyor Dr. Olumide. Please put your hands together for him. NIS, FNIS. I have known him for 20 years and he has always been like this. We also have with us in the Surveyor Yakubu Mekano, FNIS, PPNIS. A round of applause. Also in the hall with us is Surveyor Barrister Ben Omaigbe, FNIS. Oh, I'm very sorry. I will not skip the protocol. Actually, one thing we had about Baba is that he's 90 and he's not using glasses. I'm just about 40 something and with glasses, but you know, it's not my doing. Actually, see, somebody is adjusting his own, and the glass actually did diffraction, refraction, and reflection, and took me down the stage. Please, I'm very sorry, sir. Permit me to recognize Surveyor Honorable Bode Adiaga, FNIS, PPNI. Now is Surveyor Barrister Ben Omaigbe, FNIS, KSM, PPNI. Please put your hands together. And also with us is another past president that's just like the rest of them. For him in particular, when you are in his presence, you must be conscious of the use of words or language. Talking of no other person than the person wearing two caps. The PPNI and the president of APBN. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for Surveyor Akiboye Olufemi Uyegola, FNI, PPNI. Sir, I'm minding my grammar because I know you are in the office. Thank you, sir. Also with us here, Surveyor Anabo T.D. Charles, FNIS, JP, PPNI. Please put your hands together for the past president. Permit me to also recognize here on the eye table the representative of the we are all celebrating family, a man, an icon of the profession, a dedicated man, an active professional. Please, ladies and gentlemen, join me in welcoming architect Odono You can make comparisons of him and that picture. You will not make mistakes. Thank you, brother. Announcements as we recognize. So you should bring all your people in the hall. Thank you very much. Secretary General of the institution, take over for me. Thank you very much. Good morning once again.
Shimmy, yeah,
The Nigerian
drink. La la la.
This is another great day.
La la la. Shimmy, yeah, drink. La la la. Drink. La la la. Shimmy, yeah. Bad girls gon' swallow la la. Bust down on my wrist in it, bitch. My pinky ring bigger than this. Better I'm Beverly Hills. Dollar got
We have in our music representing
better I'm Beverly Hills. All she wears red bottom heels. Push it back it up, put it on the top. Push it drop it low, put it on the front. DJ pop it, she can swallow that. Champagne pop it, she can swallow that. Shimmy, yeah. Drink. La la la. Drink. La la la. La la la. Shimmy, yeah. Drink. La la la. Drink. Broke off your back. Broke off your back. Broke off your back. If you broke off your back. Broke off your back. Broke off your back.
Ladies and gentlemen, can we be on our feet to welcome the Honorable Minister Works and Housing, Mr. Babatunde Raji Fashola, SAN. Please put your hands together for the Honorable Minister as he comes in. Thank you, sir. We are glad to have you around. Welcome, sir. Please put your hands together for the Honorable Minister. While we have the Honorable Minister, may we have the national anthem to commence the event. National anthem, 1, 2, go. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. We can have our seat. Thank you. Before the arrival of the Honorable Minister of Works and Housing, we have had part of our program taken. That is not to hide some of our dignitaries from the Honorable Minister, but we know you are a man of time. So we have done some of the items.
So permit me, before I move further, to recognize the former Honorable Minister of Environment, former Honorable Minister of State for Power Works and Housing, our own Surveyor Hassan Suleiman. Please, ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for him. We are on item number 6 now. And I would like to invite the president of the institution to give us his welcome address. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for Surveyor Dr. D.K. Oluwamotemi, FNIS, President, Nigerian Institute of Surveyors.
I have to COVID myself against COVID regulation. I hear what I'm saying. I hope I'm permitted. Thank you so much. The deputy president of this great institution, our vice presidents, the executive members and council members, our past presidents, and our distinguished guest speaker, His Excellency, Mr. Babatunde Raji Fashola, a senior advocate of this country, members of the OLUMIDE family, honorable fellows of the institution, honorable members of the institution, the members of the Surveyors of Nigeria, and the gentlemen of the press, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, it is with great pleasure that I welcome you all to the 2021 annual OLUMIDE Memorial Lecture, which is the 39th edition since it was established. This event is one I hold very dear for the fact that it is one that reminds one of how much Surveyors as professionals hold dear the maxim and the chorus in our national anthem, which says, "The labor of our heroes past shall never be in vain." And somebody say amen. OLUMIDE Memorial Lecture is a venture worth sustaining in bequeathing a befitting tribute and honor to the memory of a man who was a symbol of excellence in professional practice, a visionary leader who put the profession above his personal interests at all times. We are really striving to make his ways ours and to make our action the model of his exemplary lifestyle as a father, a friend, and an excellent professional. If the whole day is dedicated to discussing him and his lifestyle, alone, I can assure you that those are the lucky, we are lucky to have around and spent time with him. We give beautiful narratives that makes us all feel it all happened just yesterday, today. Today's lecture, just like those of the years past, promises to be enthralling and captivating. We all know why they should be, because there's no other person who can add glamour to this lecture other than His Excellency. We have carefully selected the guest lecturer, like we have always done, and we can only use this quality to gauge our determination to have a disciplined professional practice with a focus on enriching the reasoning and, of course, the pulse of our colleagues. This indeed is one of my goals for this administration. I thank our distinguished guest lecturer for the great honor. I don't want to go into history of how our guest lecturer came today. I'm sure during the lecture he will tell us it has not been easy. It has not been easy, but we thank him for the great honor done us by accepting to be with us today. We can be assured of tapping into his wealth of knowledge as he has displayed at several occasions. Let me also place on record at this point our profound gratitude to our colleagues, those who from across the states of the Federation. I saw a boss named NIS, Osun State. That means they came all the way from Osogbo. I want to talk about people who came from Sokoto. Every state of Nigeria is represented there today. Thank you all for coming. Please come. From across the states of the Federation, who have gone through all to ensure they register their presence today. Some people came by road, and I'm sure our guest speaker is familiar with our roads. We have very good roads, and I'm sure we'll acknowledge that, especially considering the present economic and security situations they still came by road. Special thanks to members of the ESCO and Council, our partners, our sponsors, friends from other professions, and most importantly, the beautiful members of the OLUMIDE family. I'm sure the very young members of the family can be proud of their patriarch and, of course, his profession. Lastly, I would like to remind us that the pandemic is much around. It's no longer very much around. It has taught us the ways of doing things differently. We should sustain the adoption of practice of this new normal life to help reduce the spread to the barest minimum, if not to totally eradicate it. In the news yesterday, I was very glad when I saw that Lagos has only 22. From Lagos was leading in the past 2 months, 160, 140, but now Rivers has just sector. Thank you all for listening.
The House, ladies and gentlemen, while the minister was coming in, we recognized those that came in with him. One of them is the newest executive officer of federal government, the acting Surveyor General of the Federation, Surveyor Adeyemi Adebume. Please put your hands together.
President and Honorable Minister, sir, we have in our midst former Surveyor General of the Federation, Surveyor APC Njepome. Sir, fellow of the institution, we recognize you. You are welcome, sir.
You say Surveyor APC, like I said. Also in the hall with us is the President's designate of the Surveyors Council of Nigeria, Surveyor CL Unhabiche, FNIs. Please put your hands together for us.
Honorable Minister, sir, we have also in our midst the Registrar for the Surveyors Council of Nigeria, Surveyor MM Kabero, Fellow of the Nigerian Institution of Surveyors. Honorable Minister, sir, we have here seated with us 8 past presidents of Nigerian Institution of Surveyors. And also we have the president of APBN, who is also our home, Surveyor Akinloye Oluwafemi Oyebola, seated to your right hand of the high table.
Thank you very much. I know we will not be calling everybody, lest we will not leave this place. Every member of this house, a distinguished member. Please put your hands together for yourself. Our item 7 is presentation of the profile of Surveyor CT OLUMIDE. And actually, coincidentally, the person that will do it is Surveyor OLUMIDE Adewebi, FNI's Vice President International of the institution. Adewebi, please.
Distinguished Honorable Minister, my President, members of the high table, past presidents seated, ladies and gentlemen, it's indeed a great honor for me to have this very august responsibility of reading the profile of surveying's greatest and very best leader in the person of Surveyor CT OLUMIDE, FNIS. Our first past president, past Cyprian Theodorus OLUMIDE, was born about 1890. He was one of the pioneers of the surveying in Nigeria and had all his training and education in Nigeria. At that time, the channel of entry into surveying was through the civil engineering profession. OLUMIDE had his survey training in the first training school for surveyors in Nigeria and indeed Africa, the School of Surveying, established in 1908. That's where we call the Federal School of Surveying, Oyo, today. No doubt about it, the training then was of the highest standard. And even when equipment and instruments were not as sophisticated like we have today, he distinguished himself so much as a surveyor in the then Central Colonial Public Service that he was amongst the first set of Nigerians to be promoted into the upper echelon of the civil service, then known as European appointment. His contemporaries then were the late Messrs. Ayede Johnson, Bola Cole, and Craig, all of whom left the service prematurely. OLUMIDE remained for many years the only Nigerian in the most senior post any Nigerian was allowed to attain. He took responsibility for training other Nigerians and even some Europeans whom he trained but eventually were promoted over and above him. He gave courageous and purposeful leadership to the Africans in the different cadres of the survey profession and the then civil service. He displayed industry, integrity, devotion to duty, and strength of character. He sacrificed personal gains for the advancement of professional goals. OLUMIDE retired from the civil service, having refused to be lured to stay a day longer than the prescribed 55 years retirement age. And even in spite of the release of the Harrigan reports, which directed the removal of the differentiation between Africans and Europeans in service. OLUMIDE still left. OLUMIDE in 1934 co-founded the Licensed Surveyors Association together with the great nationalist Herbert Macaulay, Messrs. Craig Ayede, and Began Benjamin. The association metamorphosed into the Land Surveyors Association of Nigeria in 1960 with OLUMIDE as its first chairman. In 1966, at the Enugu conference of the association, the name of the association was changed to the Nigerian Institution of Surveyors, which was adopted, and OLUMIDE became its first president. The institution, in appreciation of his service and as a show of confidence reposed in his leadership, made him the life president. And on his death in 1970, please put your hands together for that. And on his death in 1970, the council decided to immortalize his memory by the institution of this OLUMIDE Memorial Lecture Series, the first of which eventually held in the year 1982. I'd like to state that while the banners and the flyers and everything is saying that we are holding the 39th OLUMIDE Memorial Lecture, we actually missed one. This would have been the 40th. In concept, the annual event was to be an opportunity for professionals and members of the public to be treated to a formal communication of ideas on topics of professional, academic, and indeed public interest. What perhaps may have remained unsung and largely uncelebrated were OLUMIDE's heroic pioneering and dedicated roles in the nationalistic struggles for the independence of our nation. It was largely due to his efforts that the post of the Director of Federal Service, now named Office of the Surveyor General of the Federation, was indigenized barely 2 years after independence. I think we should clap for that as well. OLUMIDE was a distinguished Nigerian, a man of great foresight, and an accomplished applied scientist with a great sense of integrity and devotion to duty. He intelligently and meticulously laid a solid foundation to the noble profession of surveying in this country. He deserves nothing less than the honor which this lecture series represents. You are all welcome to the 39th edition of the annual OLUMIDE Memorial Lecture Series. And on a lighter note, I thank God that my dad did not name me Friday as against OLUMIDE, so that I can share this great name with this very great man. Once again, you're all welcome. Thank you for coming.
Thank you very much, Vice President International, for that wonderful rendition. Thank you.
Honorable Ministers, President, please permit me to quickly recognize the Executive Committee of Nigerian Institution of Surveyors. Yes, President, please stand to your feet. We'd like to recognize you, all Executive Committee of Nigerian Institution of Surveyors. Thank you so much. Please a round of applause for them. All council members of Nigerian Institution here seated, please. The chairman and council representatives, please, would like you. Thank you, thank you. All fellows of Nigerian Institution, please, we want you to stand to your feet. We are using this moment to recognize you. On the high table, we have the vice chairman of the board, Surveyor A.K. Irene, representing the chairman. Past President Ashio, you are welcome. Please have your seat. We have Surveyor Bobadoye Abayomi, representing the chairman of Association of Private Practicing Surveyors of Nigeria. Surveyor Bobadoye, please. Also, we have a Professor Surveyor Lazarus Ojigi, the chairman of National Association of Surveying and Geoinformatics lecturer. Yes, seated. All the lecturers in the house, please, we want you to rise to your feet. We want to recognize you. My doctor, our doctor. God bless you. You are welcome. Please have your seat. All Surveyors Council members of Nigeria here present and State Surveyors General. Please, we'd like you stand to your feet. We want to recognize you. You are welcome. Thank you. The coordinator of Women in Surveying, and we here present, Surveyor Damilola Olokogun, FNIS. Please always. we have your Young Surveyors Network of Nigeria, and the coordinator is Surveyor Otobon Nze. You are welcome. YSM member, please rise to your feet. Yes, you are welcome. You are welcome.
Thank you very much, my Secretary General. Honorable Minister, sir, I am being directed to do something, but I think I'll do it in a way that you like much more than you will like it. I would like to recognize the past presidents, so you meet them by their name and by their face. And I did that earlier, but for the benefit of them, sir, I would like to introduce them. And I'm starting from where I should start. And where I'm starting from is where you have something to do with. From Benin in Edo State, we have Surveyor SJ Ojekere, MFR, FLIS, past president. So right there. That's our Baba 90. We celebrated him 2 weeks ago, 90 years. And following that order is Surveyor Reverend Dr. Bosun Aide, FNIS, Baba 80 plus. And beside him, as I did earlier, is his wife. They are always going together. I pray I go together with my wife like that also, till old age. That's Mama Bosun Aide. Thank you very much.
Honorable Minister, sir, please permit me to introduce also past President, Dr. Olushola Atilola, FNIS, and one-time Secretary General of Nigerian Institution of Surveyors.
Also in our midst is the Tafra King Gong, Surveyor Yakubu Mekano, FNIS.
Seated to our past President, Yakubu Mekano, we have our Surveyor Honorable Stephen Bode Adiaga, the Side Chief and Fellow of Nigerian Institution of Surveyors.
Sitting very close to him is Surveyor Barrister Ben Omai. I have to emphasize that barrister because our minister is in the same group with him. Thank you, sir.
Honorable Minister, sir, please permit me to present to you our home past president and the president of APBN, Association of Professional Bodies of Nigeria, Surveyor Akinloye Olufemi Ojibola, fellow of the Nigeria.
Honorable Minister, sir, because it's a family affair, I got to know that Surveyor Ojibola is an alumna of Batch Freeman Secondary School. I think you know what I'm talking about, sir.
Lastly, please, Honorable Minister, sir, we want to introduce our own Surveyor Halabo Sede Charles, fellow Nigerian Institutional Surveyors, fellow, and the president of Nigerian Mining and Geosciences Society of Nigeria, double president for us. Yes, sir.
Then we move to the next item on the agenda. Honorable Minister, sir, I think I'm having on item number. I don't have that power to ask a senior advocate of Nigeria to be on his feet, but I crave your indulgence, sir, while I do that. Thank you very much, sir. A brief profile of the Honorable Minister of Works and Housing, His Excellency Mr. Babatunde Raji Fashola, SAN. Born on the 28th of June 1963 in Lagos, Mr. Babatunde Raji SAN is a 1987 law graduate of the University of Benin. And after a 14-year stint in law practice, has had a public service career that is now 18 years long and still running. Put your hands together, please. In that period of public service, he has served as Chief of Staff and Commissioner in Lagos State Government, two-time Governor of the State, second federal appointed in Mr. Babatunde Fashola was called to the Nigerian bar in November 1998. His career, 1988, his career as a barrister started in the law firm of Shofunde, Osakwe, Ogundipe, and Belgore, where he engaged in general litigation over diverse areas like company law, labor disputes, commercial disputes, criminal law, matrimonial causes, chieftaincy matters, land disputes, administrative law, and intellectual property, to mention but a few. As an advocate, Mr. Fashola has distinguished himself. In 2004, he was conferred with the rank of the Senior Advocate of Nigeria, Nigeria's highest legal distinction. He is the first member of the 1988 law school set to take the rank of SAN, and the second University of Benin Faculty of Law graduate to be so honored. As a public servant, he has served with no less distinction and dedication, and has been acknowledged locally and internationally for his dedication and service. Mr. Babatunde Fashola, SAN, is the recipient of the prestigious Stephen J. Solars Award of the International Crisis Group in 2015 for his commitment to building a peaceful and vibrant society. His work to improve social and economic conditions in Lagos, including his role in preventing the Ebola outbreak from becoming a crisis in Nigeria, is also well acknowledged. He was listed in 2014 as one of the 100 top global thinkers for 2013. Please put your hands together for him. By a global personality assessment organization, Lo Spazio della Politica, LSDP, based in Italy and Brussels. Time magazine has commended him for the overhaul of legal infrastructure, while the Economist magazine acknowledged him as a real good man and a governor who does his job well. Mr. Fashola, SAN, is a patron, Chartered Institute of Arbitrators, CIA, member, Nigerian Bar Association, NBA, member, International Bar Association, IBA, fellow of the Chartered Institute of Taxation of Nigeria, CITN, Notary Public of the Supreme Court of Nigeria. Mr. Babatunde Raji Fashola, SAN, is married to Dame Emanuela Abimbola Fashola, and they are blessed with children. Ladies and gentlemen, may I appeal also to you to please be on our feet, and as we put our hands together for our guest lecturer, Mr. Babatunde Raji Fashola, SAN, the Honorable Minister of Works, announcing Federal Republic of Nigeria. You're welcome, sir.
Thank you. Please.
I think it is still safe to say good morning. So let me start first by making an apology. I arrived, I think about a minute after 11, when the event was scheduled to start at 11. It was because we had a meeting with Mr. President this morning, and I had given notice that I might be half an hour late, but in his usually efficient way, the meeting finished very quickly. So let me apologize. I'd like to thank Surveyor Arolambo for the protocols that he has already very properly dealt with. So I won't go into that matter, except to say, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. And perhaps it is a good place to start from, because I was reading this morning a report in the newspaper about a public disagreement reported to have taken place recently, where some public officer took offense that in the speech of another public officer, he did not recognize him in the protocol. And it will go to some of the matters about which I will speak. And in doing so, you will not begrudge me in especially recognizing the gentleman who was sitting to my left, my past colleague, Honorable Minister of State, Suleiman Hassan Zama, who is a member of this family. He a very impactful period with me, was a true colleague and remains one, and a partner in that ministry. He was not a polarizing figure. He could have been. He remains a true gentleman in all our interactions. Let me also recognize the members of the OLUMIDE family who, although have been recognized in the protocols, my salute to you. You are inheritors of a very, very great legacy, a legacy that is now in great need also in our country. I must doff my hat to the past presidents, and I think that maybe when I'm done, I will have a brief word with President Oluwamotimi to tell me whether there's a connection between surveying and longevity. Because if there is, maybe it is time to become a surveyor. Ladies and gentlemen, let me especially thank this institution. And I thank them for one thing, for sending me a long notice for this event. And perhaps this is a good time to start these conversations, because in 1 year, you'll be amazed to find out the number of invitations public officers have to come and speak. And then I asked myself, how much time do you have to prepare the speech? And how much time do you have the time to deliver the speech? And then who is listening if all of us are talking? And so when I got this, gave me about 5 months. It was a long time, but it created another difficulty in its own way, and I will come to that shortly. But for that, I am very grateful. But that said, I notice also that the president, in his remarks, drew our attention to the condition of roads and also some references to Lagos. But I will not enter into the debate because I come in peace. But really and truly, as I said, I got a long notice, but I do not know the criteria for choosing the speakers at the annual OLUMIDE Memorial Lecture. I don't know the criteria, so I don't know why I'm here. But one thing I know, I come in peace. But I don't know what qualifies me to be this year's speaker. I don't know that either. But another thing I know, I am delighted to be here among people who demonstrably have become a large family of professionals. I am also delighted to be here because I have what I think is a unique opportunity to celebrate a true Nigerian professional, the late Surveyor Cyprian Theodosius OLUMIDE. That is another reason that delights me. Unfortunately, I never met him. But even what the little I've read about him just makes me reach for the past. And that said, I will return to that, the matter of his professionalism in the Nigerian space. But I am also enthused to be here. And at the same time, I come here with some difficulty. So this is where my difficulty arises. The institution gave me a very long notice, but they said to me in the letter, quote, "You will be free to choose the topic of your lecture." That's the problem. This is very difficult, as I said, even supposed to speak. When I looked but it was also a father, a grandfather, a son, a husband. There wasn't a lot to humanize him in that material. And so I hope that we will do something about that. Ago, I still did not have a topic, but I had developed a speech. Can you imagine that? A speech that has no topic. So, and it was only on Monday, and I think whoever was interfacing with my office, was only this Monday that we now debated extensively, myself and my staff, and I said, this is the topic, but I had finished the speech. Can you imagine that? So you will come with me to where I was when I was writing this speech 2 weeks ago. And so I will start by expressing my regret that my speech does not have a topic, but I will speak about various things. Can we agree on that? So I will speak about various things, commendable tribute to the service and the work of Surveyors to Nigeria and to humanity. Can we do that? So let me start with a personal story. A story that I will title Mommy, who is a chief. I want to love the story. Mommy, who is a chief? I want to be of a chieftaincy title by the then Oba of Lagos, Oba Adeyinka Oyekon, on a prominent Nigerian. There was so much fanfare, and the young boy, not understanding what all the fuss was about, but nevertheless enthralled by the grandeur of the announcement on national TV, asked his mother, Mommy, who is a chief? I want to be a chief. You know, this boy was about 9, 10, and so all of he asked his that if he wanted, he had to be a professional. He had to work very hard, and he had to subscribe to the highest values, and he had to serve his people. Of course, the mother did not miss the opportunity to challenge her son by stressing that the road to the journey of chieftaincy that the son seemed to desire started with schoolwork, and that he must improve on his school efforts and get good grades. That son did. So what you might ask then is the relevance of this story to Surveyor OLUMIDE's life. Part of the relevance is that that young boy later became a professional. He became a legal practitioner, and then he ended up as a public servant. But he has seen the erosion of the institution of chieftaincy as described by his mother, because the values and the standards have been compromised by some, not all, by some men and women who have devalued what the chieftaincy title once represented. It used to be a very strong building block of society. That young boy no longer wants to hold a chief title. He is now content with who he is and not what he is called. That young boy is your guest speaker today. Wait. This story is titled Apalara. Apalara. I will tell you the meaning. Those who are from my part of the world already have a clue. So Alpha Bisiriu Apalara, history records, was a cleric. The story is about his disappearance till today. In what led to a famous murder trial, the scene was set around Ebute Metta in Lagos. And the circumstances suggest that his body was dumped into the Lagos Lagoon, somewhere around under the Third Mainland Bridge, which then was not conceived or built. Papa seems to correct me that it was around the Kata Bridge. So he was around then. And around the time that this happened, I was still in diaspora. So he will know better. But what the police investigators had to go by were pieces of evidence, small pieces, such as the fact that his belongings were found in his house. And there was some evidence that there had been an attack and disruption in his house. And then there was evidence that there was blood, which was found to be human blood. And it was leading from that his house to a place at Takpa Street near the foreshore, the lagoon. This event happened on the night of the 3rd of January, 1953. You see, I told you I was still in diaspora. But remember that date, 1953. The trial and the appeal to the West African Court of Appeal was concluded on the 25th of February, 1954. 1 year and 1 month. Trial and appeal finished. And Joseph Ugumbayode Ogundipe and 9 others were convicted for murder. So that was 13 months of trial and appeal in Nigeria. Nigeria. So at that time, there was. So I told you there is no talk. And professionalism, and more importantly, perhaps one of the foremost but uncelebrated criminal investigation detectives that our country ever produced. Those who knew him used to call him by his nickname, Babas. But I know a superior officer, late Kafaru Tinubu, who worked with him. He said, if you send Shakpara to a crime scene, he will bring you all the evidence, including what was found under the nails of the disease. If you have that kind of evidence, how can prosecution be difficult? But it starts with what? Professionalism. The story is relevant because this man showed exemplary devotion to duty. Now, what is so impressive about exemplary devotion to duty? It is something that has been read in the citation of Surveyors OLUMIDE this morning, that he was so devoted to his job, that he put his job above himself. That's what has been said this morning. So the third story. So we've had Mommy, I want to be chief. We have had Akpalara, so we'll go to the third one. The third story is the story of Njovens. Have you heard of Njovens before? You don't. You didn't. So I would tell. So Patrick Njovens, YL Bello, Alhaji Amusa Abidogun, Chief Samuel Taiwo ST Oredein, a famous political figure. Papa, you say, hey. You now remember some of it. So they were tried and convicted for abetting the commission of robbery and of receiving stolen property. The first and Jovens said the defendant Bello and accepting gratitude and offering to rest persons who have committed offenses of armed robbery. All the 4 accused were convicted of harboring known offenders. The offense took place on the 13th of April, 1971. Again, remember that date, 1971. Where? At a place between Ilorin and Bachita in Kwara State of where? Nigeria, in Nigeria, 1971. The relevance of this story is that on the 3rd of May, 1973, 2 years after, the case was concluded. Where? In Nigeria. On the 3rd of May, 1973, the Supreme Court rendered its judgment and affirmed their convictions. In fact, in one of the submissions of the lawyers to the defendant appellants, that the evidence that was used to convict them was the evidence of one of the fellow conspirators, and therefore it was unsafe to convict them because of the evidence of a co-accused. I remember, I think it was Justice Fatai Williams, I can't quite remember now, who said, well, you know what, you are saying that we should not use the evidence of your co-accused. Whose evidence are we going to use? That if you are looking for the road to hell, you can't ask angels because they don't live in hell. But that is a matter for further reading for those in the judgments. But this is also profoundly an objection. And most importantly, story of a resolve not to be compromised. The men who made history possible are the police prosecution witnesses who were not afraid to investigate and testify against their superiors, and also a politically connected fourth accused. Where did this happen? In our country. When did it happen? Again, Surveyor OLUMIDE was alive at this time. His generation were alive. They had laid that foundation of what? Dedication and hard work and professionalism. So what happened? The first and the third, I tell you now, they were police officers. The fourth was a politician or a politically connected person. So, but that did not matter to men like Jacob Abiodun Shogobi. Remember his name? Have you ever heard his name before? Jacob Abiodun Shogobi. Why is he important? He is the superintendent of police who testified for the prosecution and described the first, second, and third accused person as follows. I've quoted some of his testimony from the judgment. Let me read what he said. Quote, I know accused one. He was my immediate senior officer at the state CID, Ibadan. I know accused two. He was the officer in charge of crime section, state CID, Ibadan. I know accused three. He was attached to the provincial crime branch, Central Police Station, Ibadan. End of quote. How many will do that today? But it has to be done where there is the need for it. There were other testimonies by police officers like Daniel Olarinde of police, who testified as the 9th prosecution witness. There was also Michael Oshineye Showale, a deputy superintendent of police, who was the 13th prosecution witness. To the best of my knowledge, these great men, who for love of country, commitment to duty at risk, or a chieftain. The person who was carrying a chieftaincy title. Son, do you still want to be a chief? I wonder what Shogobi, Olarinde, and Showale would have felt then if they were offered chieftaincy titles. It is their devotion to duty that commends them to me. To share with you, if you did not know, or to remind you if you knew, on a day we gather to celebrate the excellence, the devotion, and professionalism in the name of Surveyor OLUMIDE. But that is not all. These men represented shining examples of what we have done before and what we can do again. And I dare say what we must do again if we want to achieve our dreams. This then takes me to the next story, the debate about strong men and strong institutions. So this story started in circumstances that are quite, well, not the most academic, but it started on Saturday. We were eating ram. So the need for strong institutions rather than for strong men. And I said I disagreed with that view and that I saw it totally differently. So, and this, my colleague and one time whose opinion I hold in very high esteem said, how can you say that? And we went on and on. And I saw that I was in trouble because I couldn't convince him. But I felt, I was convinced that he was wrong, but I couldn't convince him that he was wrong. And that's difficult. But my view is that there is nothing esoteric about institutions. And so I hope I can make this, I hope, because I ended in, that's why I felt emboldened to talk about it here. So that there's nothing esoteric about institutions, that when all is said and done, when we strip institutions bare, what we simply see are men and women, no more, no less. And that really, when institutions do well, it is men and women who have done well, and vice versa. Again, how would we have this institution? How would we have the office of the Surveyor General if the vision, the dedication, and the commitment to duty of our Surveyor OLUMIDE did not commit him to act, to create, and to deliver? And get me, of to say this is after. And what has become it, and why we sit down here, I don't know whether I will get one, have continued to hold the torch alight. The day it is dropped, this lecture will end. Nothing is cast in stone about this lecture. It is cast in the hearts of men and women. That's the point I want to make. So the Nigerian police that investigated and prosecuted Apalara and Njoven's cases very professionally, that institution still exists. It exists as an idea, and it also exists as a creature of statute, law. But is it the same era? I leave you to decide. Where are its chaparras, its Olaridis, its Showales and Shogobis? Where are the MD Yusufus, the Kam Salems, the Musiliu Smiths, the Kafaru Tinumbus, the Etimiyangs, and the Louis Edets? How many now want to be like them and better than them? Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, let me be clear. This is not an X-ray on the police. It isn't. It is simply the easiest institution about which I can find some very quick material and judgments, because this was an area where I practiced to tell this story. So I'm not X-raying the police. But it is a useful example to discuss the subject. And there are many other professionals such as judges, forensic pathologists, court clerks, lawyers who made those achievements possible. Not only is that Nigeria of efficiency and professionalism of the OLUMIDE era possible, I am convinced that a better one is achievable if we are ready to do the hard lifting. And this takes me back to the debate about men and women vis-a-vis institutions. I hold a very clear view that every institution, whether it's a nation, whether it's a ministry, whether it's a department, an agency, a company, a church, a mosque, represent nothing but ideas. Now, from this alone, the central role of men and women is already manifest, because who has ideas but us? In any spiritual submission that you are inclined to, it is undisputable that the human civilization is the one invested with ideas. That is what distinguishes us from other creatures. So it already tells you that the institution is an idea by somebody. So there's nothing divine about an institution. There's nothing sacrosanct about it. And so if you want to see a good life, I will spend less of my energy building institutions. I will spend more of my time building the character of great men and great women. These ideas then develop into paper. You see, this is how it evolves. So let's look at it, an idea. So one idea just passed 2 days ago. The Senate has passed the idea that we can transmit results electronically, right? So it has become paper, a draft bill is going to the president to sign. Almost like day will follow after night and vice versa. The president expectedly will sign, but whether we will get what we want or not, it depends on what we do. So, as I said, the ideas become paper. So whether it's a company, you just go to CAC and get certificate of incorporation, paper. Just the way some companies were issued license to transmit voice and data in this country. And now we can see ourselves without leaving the house. Is it the paper that did the work? Is it the paper that laid the fiber cable? So I hope that you see what it took to persuade my advisor. And I hope today I can persuade you. So as I said, what is then done to those creatures that ideas and laws and paper have created? So we have a constitution, not so, but we've had this debate, amend the constitution, change the constitution, and I've said to people, the Nigerian people want a better life, not a better document. And so, but a better life is the product of what everybody does, not what one man does. So during the argument, this my colleague, and I say I have great respect for you. He now said, no, BRF, I don't agree. Yeah. And we quickly run there when it suits us. He said, you see, when they falsified the elections, they wanted to do this, the Senate institution and all of that, they stopped it. I say, now you just made the argument for me. You are wrong. And you just provided the evidence. And he said, how can I be wrong? I said, look, one man had publicly said, let us march on the parliament. You saw that thing on January 6th. Let's march on the parliament. But his immediate partner, just like I said of Surveyors, said, BRF wants to march on parliament. Me, I'm not following this march on. I said, I told you he's a good man. Let's go and do the job of a nation. So his partner is the president of their own Senate. So if he had followed that man, the votes will never have been counted. It was their joint ticket. They were going to lose office. There was no institution. The mob was in the parliament. Police had run away. They even went to hiding. Which institution was there to save him that day? It was men and women who saved him. Then he now saved his nation because he turned his back on his partner and said, we have been defeated. Let us go and do what is right. So there was no institution. It was a decision of conscience, of courage, of devotion to duty. I then told him that if he had followed the wishes of his president, his action as one individual would have brought an experiment of over 200 years to his knees at that moment. So I then told him that in 2015, when President Goodluck Jonathan decided to concede the elections to Muhammadu Buhari, there were some Orubebe-minded members of his party who were acting in concert to frustrate the process on one side. There were also some men like Bishop Onaeka and General Abdul Salam Abubakar who were in the villa urging a solution. And you see the two different positions of men. But what was at stake? The institution of the Nigerian sovereignty. But it could do nothing for itself. It would do only what people make it do. I then told him that when President Yar'Adua sadly passed in 2010 and we were heading for the precipice, there was clear provision in our constitution about what should happen if a president sadly dies in office. But it didn't happen. But it was the action of men and women, some to the streets, some to parliament, who said, oh yeah, go and do the right thing. The law had been written, you know what happens if a president, but it didn't happen automatically. It needed men and women to act. So my conclusion on this point is that it is the consistency of good deeds, good conduct, that makes them institutionalized. In a way that we can then speak of an institution. And what has been done for so long, if anybody attempts to change it, what then happens? We become scandalized. So one error, just one error in the recruitment processes of leadership or personnel becomes the fly in the ointment that makes nonsense of the works of generations and brings what has been institutionalized into disrepute and into infamy. Surveyors, Cyprian, Theodosius, OLUMIDE is an example of the type of good men and women we all need to build institutions in our public and private life. I listened to the speech of President Surveyor Dr. Kayode Oluwamotemi, and this is me adapting on the spot because this was not part of my speech. But he said that we were all striving to make Surveyor Olumide's ways our ways. End of quote. Did you say that, Mr. President? Yes, sir. You know, this is the heart of the matter. And you have made a very, very valuable contribution to a speech that has no title. You know, the Oshana says to Bada Bionile, Chole Shebionile. For those who don't speak Yoruba, this is almost what Uluwa Motemi has said. We want to be like Surveyor Olumide. Can we do what Surveyor Olumide did? Are we ready to pay the price that he? Are we ready to subscribe to the value? The second one, and all of them is professionalism. All through. The lawyer who was honored, the policemen, lawyers, judges, and others who dispense justice, and of course, Surveyor, Cyprian, Theodosius, Olumide, all of whom did their work very disposal on the most recent available. So let me say that the court has no significant interrogating the process of counter and conflicting court orders in relation to political matters.
microphone is muted, of course.
That era of professionalism was to suggest, and suggested that was swallowed by you. OLUMIDE, I was a snake that swallowed the money. So what based that kind of contemplation, lack of professionalism, and an opportunity to capitalize? Ladies and gentlemen, reiterate that the quality of any institution, a country, business, ministry, development agency, school, or otherwise, is a direct result of the quality of. So now, I found a topic. Yes, I think I'm on now. So if you permit me, I will conclude with a topic. It is, quote, human capital and institution building. Thank you for listening.
Please, let's let's continue. Pick that also from your speech. Please, once again, put your hands together for the Honorable Minister. Wow. Yes. Now, I've listened to that beautiful speech that is quite entertaining, oratorical, informative, entertaining, because at the time we had to laugh. And it's motivational, also demonstrative. And at the end of the day, the Honorable Minister said he was going to persuade us. The speech was persuasive, and I can tell you that, sir, I am persuaded. Thank you very much, sir. So we will want reaction from the floor to that speech. Let's this section take over.
President, sir, please, we would like to take 5 commentaries from the floor. Just 5 commentaries. Yes, sir. Number 1. Number 2. Sorry, please. Number 1, sir. Number 2. Number 3. Number 4. Number 5. Number 6. Wow. President, sir, it's like we are having hate. Yes, instead of 5. Sir? Okay. We have to be very fast. 7, 8 to the past president.
Past president, sir.
Let me quickly make this. I'll stand on the existing protocol with the permission of our guest speaker and the president. Mine is just by way of addition. I believe that it is not just the development of that particular human capital or the institution that will do it. I believe that the scandal that will come when you deviate from the institution will be a function of how strong that institution is. So it means we still have to continue to develop. So the rate at which you develop it will be the rate at which you have the magnitude of the scandal that will come when you don't go. Feel it has to grow too. The institution is developed and it continues to grow because if you don't go that way, the scandal will be of enormous proportion. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think we'll pick the second person here. Please come forward, please.
Thank you very much. I want to appreciate the minister for a very dynamic speech or lecture rather. Thank you for
Thank you. Honorable Minister, sir, do we take everything? Then we'll return to you. Yes. No. Number 3, you said they will take last. Number 3.
Honorable Minister, sir, my name is Surveyor Badamasi Tahir. My own is to appreciate the Honorable Minister for keeping the time, because the Honorable Minister said was invited here, the program will start by 11, but is here 1 minute after 11. This is really appreciated. This is really appreciated. Thank you very much, Honorable Minister.
Thank you, sir.
Honorable Minister, sir. My name is Surveyor Frebi Akene, FNIS. With reference to the matter on ground here, I'm coming from the civil society angle, Center for Environmental Preservation and Development. Now, from the civil society angle, just as you said, the quality of any institution is the direct result of the qualities of human capital. But we've had cause to get to situations where those who want to do the right thing, like the Tudors, OLUMIDE, and others, are being brutalized, are being suppressed. Even if you go to the police, from the civil society, we've interacted with them seriously. If a criminal is arrested, from the top hierarchy of the politicians, they will call police officers to immediately release that criminal. And if you dare refuse it, you have cause to blame yourself. Either you are transferred if you are lucky, or you are dismissed. We have a lot of just cases. Coming again on the issue of institutions and administrations, like the surveyors, you submit a proposal, maybe you call the Surveyor General of the Federation to give you what we call commitment control. How much will this project cost? And if the Surveyor General presents X naira, some authorities will say X times 5. And the 4, where the 4 goes, he doesn't know. And if he dare refuse, he has some price to pay. And a lot of people have been brutalized. So everybody in this situation is careful. I could remember in my undergraduate days, in my university, a student, sorry sir, 4 minutes. A student was wafted, a governor's daughter was wafted, and nothing happened to him. But today, if a vice chancellor tries it, he pays DLS for it. So in circumstances like this, how are we going to behave like OLUMIDE? Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Number 5.
Yes, from this end.
Thank you, sir.
Your Excellency, let me stand on existing protocol. My name is Surveyor C.I. Wabichia. I'm just wondering, Your Excellency, whether this interplay between human capital and institution has anything to do with 2 factors. The first factor is the culture. If you go to Japan, you find out that a Japanese, if he's given an assignment and he doesn't make that assignment, he may kill himself in the spirit of harakiri. The next thing I want to raise, sir, which I would like you to address, does the Civil War have anything to do with what we're talking about? Did things change dramatically after the Civil War? Because in my area, there are so many things you would not have done before the war, but now it is possible to do that, like stealing yam. It is never done. If you do that, your family is literally finished. So I just want you to look at the issue of culture and look at the impact of the Civil War. And when we start talking about human capital development, who develops them? Do they not come through a system that will eventually be called institutions?
Thank you, sir.
Honorable, Your Excellency, the last but not the least, it is too early to thank you for appointing me the president of the Surveyors Council of Nigeria. I know the council is yet to be inaugurated. I do believe you will do that soon. Thank you, sir.
Now to our past presidents for their comments. Yes, sir.
Oh, my question has been raised, but a lady said I should give my chance to her. And since I was born by a woman, I'm giving my chance to her.
Thank you, my past president, sir. Your Excellency, sir, I want to thank you for a well-articulated lecture. And I want to thank you for directly linking human capital development to nation building. In mathematics, we will say this is directly proportional, that human capital development is directly proportional to nation building. If this is the case, how do we develop human capital in the face of insecurity and social deprivation? Education is down. Health workers are going on strike here and there. So how do we develop this human capital so that we can build our nation?
Thank you, ma. That is, sir. No, President. Yes, sir.
I lost hope anyway. I was going to ask a question. Honorable Minister, all other protocols duly, I stand on it. Once again, I want to say thank you very much for this very practical lecture that we have delivered in a very succinct manner. And it's about the institution and strong men, which comes first. Is it like the chicken and the egg? I want to observe that both are needed. We need very, very strong institution, and we need strong men to drive the institution. Number one, the era which you describe of Shakparas, of Olumides, and Oredeni and co, men performing their duties. It was an era where we had institutions, and the institutions were allowed to run free without interference. And that is why those people that you have referred to, Olumides and co, were able to do their duties. And I'll say that following after, in this era that we are now, our institutions are weak. And because of our weak institution, those that want to do their duty, they can be checkmated. If people like Shakpara, people who prosecuted Shakpara cases, want to prosecute their case now, there could be some authority to say, look, stop that, don't do that. Because the institutions that we have now, yes, we have it on paper, are not strong, and they are not allowed to function. Thank you, sir.
The last but not least. Thank you, sir.
Honorable Minister, my President, mine is not a question, but rather information. And if you will permit me, I want to deal with 4 issues. 1, the minister himself. 2, our president and the signal of office of the institution. And 3, why we did not hold the OLUMIDE Memorial Lecture in 1995. The first one, the Honorable Minister, I want to thank you for a practical lecture. Now I understand why my nephew, Olutoyin Ayinde, holds you in so much high esteem. The Lord will continue to be with you. The second thing, my own president and the signal of office of the institution. When our president walked into the hall this morning, he was not wearing the insignia of office of the president. And I was very upset because the constitution is clear. Our president shall wear the insignia of office of the president in all public occasions of the institution, particularly on the OLUMIDE Memorial Lecture. Why? First of all, let me ask, 40 years ago, when the first OLUMIDE Memorial Lecture was inaugurated, how many of you were here? How many of you were there on the first OLUMIDE Memorial Lecture? No one? Oga was there. I was a young 40-year-old man as the Secretary General of the Nigerian Institute of Surveyors at that time. And the chairperson of the organizing committee was Mrs. Adekoya. And she insisted that the president must wear an insignia of office. Now you have money to do whatever you want. The institution had nothing at that time. We couldn't buy any insignia of office. She went to the market. She bought a ribbon and she sewed it herself. It was hand sewn, which Chief Coker won on that day as the insignia of office for the president. It was after that that the institution now bought this is the third one, I think. And for the president to now walk here on an OLUMIDE memorial lecture without wearing that insignia of office, I found it upsetting. But my president, thank you very much because you have rectified that. And finally, Mr. Chairman, why did we not hold the 1995 OLUMIDE Memorial Lecture? Like I told you, I was the Secretary General when we instituted the first OLUMIDE Memorial Lecture. And as the Secretary General, my first official assignment was to represent the institution at the 10th Memorial Service for Pa OLUMIDE. In 1995, I was the president. So it was very important for me that the series will continue. As a matter of fact, was Pa Adekunle Kukoyi was the one to present that lecture. And I particularly wanted him to give that lecture so that he would have left history for us to refer to, just like Chief Coker did at the third lecture. But Adekunle Kukoyi, at the last minute, refused. He had accepted, but Oga refused to give the lecture. And I went to him, and he said to me, why will you want to honor the memory of a man whose life has been desecrated? Those were his words. Those of you who know Oga, he was very strict and his choice of word very strong. What happened? You will recall that when SOCOM was instituted, the managers, the president and the registrar, they changed the numbering system. They made themselves number 1 and number 2. Adekunle Kukoyi insisted that they should start the numbering from where the licensing number stopped. Because if you didn't do that, you will be rewriting the history of the institution. When the matter could no longer be resolved in-house, Oga went to court and he got judgment in his favor. And that is why all of you today are able to retain the number of your license as a registration number. Thank you very much. So when they ask you why we did not hold 1995 lecture, that was the cause, because the matter could not be resolved. When it was resolved, we continued in 1996. Thank you and God bless.
Thank you so much, Sir Honorable Minister. Few issues to attend to. Yes, sir.
Mr. President, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, except for there was one comment about coming on time. Again, they all add up. They all add up. It is hard to imagine that the Federal Executive Council meeting will not start at 10 a.m. It's hard to imagine it. Because at 1 minute to 10, President Muhammadu Buhari will walk in. He's never late. So it is this consistent conduct of good behavior that sets, which I have spoken about, that institutionalizes the seriousness about that meeting, that it will start at 10. But All of us wear watches. Do we use it to keep time? Okay, to watch time, not to keep it. So I think the past president, Ayinde, who spoke last, has answered most of the questions. They answered most of the questions. Because as I was looking at those questions, the answers for me were quite obvious, you know. So let me just tiptoe through some of them. And the first one was that, well, if there is the scandal, if we are scandalized enough, the institution will act. Yes, the institution will act, but truth be told, who is the institution? So instead of us clinging to an Ethiopian idea, the institution is me. It is you. It is Surveyor Ayinde who challenged the sitting president today that you must wear your neck chain. That is the institution. That this is what we agreed. You can't change it. And thankfully and commendably, the situation was remedied. And we must commend those who do good. Not because they do good, but because they averted evil. So, Mr. President, well done. You know, so this is what it is about. It's not any esoteric idea. If you bring an undeserving person into any place littered with gold, come back in the evening and come and tell me the gold is institutionalized. Unless we choose to escape from the reality, there is nothing called institutions. It is men and women. Any place you can talk about that it is good, go and look at it. Somebody's hard work, somebody's devotion, a group of people. So, and I hope that we will leave this place convinced that that is the reality, so that we will know that we have a role to play. So if we are looking for the next man, the next man is looking for the next man, the next man, there will be no institution. It is us. So, Dr. Matthias then asked the question about leadership. Where did we miss it? Well, I don't think that I want to talk about where we missed it. I want to talk about what we need to do more of. You see, I grew up in an era where what you knew was more important than what you owned. That was the era, that was when I came to this world. And that was why they were celebrating a chief, and it was a big event. It was on TV. Now they just give everybody. And they don't ask questions. So, but, and you know how many doctorate degree, doctor of science, doctor of this we award every day in the universities? Where is the corresponding effort of those men to the degrees, honorary degrees they have received? Who gave them? Where does a university live? It lives in the hands of men and women. In a Senate, they decided it. So there's no institution. No, it's VC and governing council and the Senate who decided it, men and women. And I think that in an attempt to answer that question, it is the values that we subscribe to that shapes what we do. And those values, somebody was saying somewhere, and I think it's a corollary about war and stealing yams and all of those kind of things. You see, I think it will be escapist to look for war as an answer. We are not the only ones who fought a civil war. And incidentally, just this morning, I was reading about the Yoruba wars. And that's a matter for another day. So even in those parts, but it is to subscribe to the highest values of the best behavior. And I couldn't find the better words or example to describe it, but about breeding. How you are raised, who are your parents, and what do your parents subscribe to? Which community did you grow up? I told you that that boy didn't like school. So I will jump the fence to go and play football. But you know, all of us were not children of our parents alone. We were children of the community. Somebody will park and you're out of school. They will park, they will arrest us and then take us to school. So that is what builds the institution. Because all the adults in that society place the highest value on education. So as they are driving, they say, these children is past 9. You should be in class. They will mobilize, chase us, and catch us. But we were just being rascally, but they kept reinforcing that. So what we do at home, how important is education? Is education just going to school and paying school fees? Do you go to your children's open day? We are the mirror through who they see life. And it is what we show them that is important that they will take seriously. Then they watch our conduct. Do you get to work on time? Then you expect your children to be punctual. Then what's your attitude to work? So I don't know how much time we have. Let me tell you a very, very short story. I have a friend, we reminisce a lot. So he said to me that, you know, his father was a public servant. 2 short stories. But there was, his friends, they used to exchange visits after work in the evening. So he's around my age. And I said in the late 60s, early 70s, when his father's friend come, they will call him to come and serve drinks. So he knew what everybody was drinking. But there was one friend that whenever he came to visit them, his father would go and serve him by himself. They didn't call him. He said he didn't understand it. Until one day he now realized that that man was a judge. So the fact that he was a judge didn't make him superhuman. He had a life. But he had subscribed to a new code of conduct, of behavior. He must not be seen, but the man drank stout, but he could only drink it in his childhood friend's place. And even the son was not supposed to see it. That was in this Nigeria. And there was an incident where in those days, now you have probe. In those days, it used to be inquiry. And once they announced inquiry, the whole place did what? Calm down. So there was this family, their maternal grandmother was living with them. So, but his dad's friend worked in another public department, and they just announced on radio that, oh, Ministry of Works, that a probe has been announced. They didn't mention anybody's name. So his father's friend, who was not the minister, he was a middle, came to their house in the evening. And his maternal grandmother, who was visiting, locked the door that he can't come in. So his dad now said, Mama, this is my friend. You don't know BRF. He can't come. He said, no, he can't come in. They have announced probe in his ministry. He should go and clear it. We don't want trouble in this place. That was in this country. So how many of us will do that? Or will we be thinking, how much did you make? Let's give you a night or let's give you a chieftaincy. Those are the values that we need to go back to. Where did you get the money you are spending? Is it money that is important that we celebrate for people's achievement? So if we celebrate just money, why should people then be desperate to invent? Inventions don't, so it's our values that we must go back to. And that speaks partly to the point that you have made. So, and I was asked, well, you know, how do we get it back? He has talked about history. And we must teach history. We must remind ourselves of who we were. I told you this morning I was reading Yoruba Wars. How many people knew that Yorubas fought for almost 100 years? And what caused the war? But we are still together. So how many people know about Mansa Musa? Do you know where that Mansa Musa is now? So, you know a place called Timbuktu? Yes. So that was a major center of learning then on our continent. It was not in Europe. So that's what we all connected to, but we just seem to be drifting. So I tell people, you see this thing, instead of texting and WhatsApping, just go to a search engine and read something to even relearn what you already know. Refresh your memory. So, well, it is true that there will be some bad eggs in every dozen, but that is not the reason to then subscribe to become a bad egg. It is the more reason to insist that I will not be contaminated. And to continue to then try to persuade Mr. President and my colleague here that this is the better way, as I've sought to persuade you. You know, there was a judge in Lagos, Justice Yaya Olatunde Jinodu. He used to be the judge of the High Court. And he gave a judgment during the military regime. And the military refused to comply. He resigned, that I won't be a judge again. So for those who asked that, Oga said, Oga, I won't work here again. I will go home. If this means, you see, we can disagree on many things, but I won't compromise my values. So I have served leaders. I have been an employee. I'm still an employee. And there are things that even in politics you want to do. It's my job as my principal's advisor to say, this is the legal way and the safe way to do it. If you want us to do it, then this is the way we will do it. But if that is the way you want to do it, we are not going with you. And you know, sir, maybe I won't come to work tomorrow. Because that way just does not subscribe to the values that I subscribe to. But how do we build that human capital And I think without being specific about one question, those are the essential issues that have been raised. It's not in school. It is at home. Parenting, 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 and more parenting. That is where the values are built. It was not in school. You remember that boy that we were talking about? Who was he talking to? What was the mother telling him? Work hard, study hard, be this, be that. That's the job it takes. That's what it is going to take. Everybody. If we are having difficulty with this generation, let us go and invest in the next one very quickly. It is not too late. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. And I can say on behalf of the House that we are so glad that you are so much with us. We are very sure you are with us, and we really appreciate that. The Secretary.
President, sir, before the presentation of award to our guest speaker and the Honorable Minister of Works and Housing, we have also in our midst of your Taiwo Adeniran FNIS, immediate past of your General of the Federation. You are welcome. President, sir, it's time to present award to the guest speaker. Vice President National.
Your Excellency, sir, this is our token gift for the lecture you have given without a title. I'm coming. At the beginning, there was no title. It was at the end, you gave us a title. And you gave us so many stories. But unfortunately, I was an example of one of the stories. The past president, the president made me to be an example. So it wasn't funny when you made me the example, sir. But I apologize for being an example. It's not showing very well, but it's showing now. Thank you so much, sir. So these are token gifts, sir, for being one of the lecturers for the Memorial Lecture. In 15 years' time, what we are giving you will speak. Everybody will see it and know that you have been here. Please manage this our token gift. Thank you so much. God bless.
President, sir, we have a inauguration of the past president forum. But before we go into that, we quickly want to take goodwill messages from 6 people. And the first on the list is the representative of OLUMIDE family. And we have to do that. Akit Odono Dada, please, we want you to present the goodwill message of the OLUMIDE family. Welcome, sir.
President, NIS, Nigeria Institution of surveyors, members of the Executive Council, Speaker of the day, all other protocol being observed. I am not used to speaking before crowd, so forgive me if I stutter. I am always humbled and honored to be in your presence. And I keep wondering how we, generations after my grandfather, can step into his shoes. We just cannot. And I am also elated by the topic of today's lecture. Please forgive me. On behalf of the OLUMIDE family, I want to say thank you. Not all happy people are grateful, but I can tell you, all grateful people are happy.
Thank you so much. We appreciate you, sir. And next is the President of Association of Professional Bodies of Nigeria and our own Surveyor Kendoyi Olufemi Oyegbola FNIS.
The President of the institution, Your Excellency, our guest speaker, permit me to adopt the existing protocol on behalf of the council, the board, and the entire membership of the Association of Professional Bodies of Nigeria. It gives me pleasure to congratulate Surveyor Dr. Kayode Oluwamotevi, FNIS, on this occasion of the 39th OLUMIDE Memorial Lecture. It's been a time well spent, and we appreciate the icing on the cake that we were able to have a sitting minister to address us. In that light, I still have to go back to the minister and appreciate him for doing us this honor, and whatever approach that gave us this, I want to believe that we will try to institutionalize it so that it will give us more of this. At occasions like this, we try to say one or two things about APBN. The Association of Professional Bodies of Nigeria is the umbrella organization for all professional bodies in Nigeria. It has in its growing membership the 30 foremost professional bodies now, and we believe it will continue to grow from strength to strength. The board comprises the Executive Council of the association, the incumbent presidents of the 30 professional bodies that are members, and the chairman and secretaries of state chapters of that association. It seeks to advance professionalism and professional practice in the country. Once more, I appreciate the Honorable Minister for doing us this honor and congratulate the President and the entire membership of Nigerian Institute of Surveyors for this wonderful outing. Thank you very much.
President, sir, and our guest speaker, permit me to bring to podium the acting Surveyor General of the Federation and Surveyor Adeyemi Adebome for his goodwill message.
Your Excellencies, the Honorable Minister of Works and Housing, and by extension, the former Honorable Minister of Environment, let me align with the existing protocol. It is a great honor to be here today at this 39th OLUMIDE lecture. And I would like to thank the Honorable Minister taking us down the memory lane. Some of the stories he told us today are some of the stories we've heard about. And he has advised us to go back and try to look at the stories very well and acquaint ourselves with the stories, because he talked about institutionalization, the core values attached to the institutionalization, and human capacity development. And when you look at these three, there was a question, where did we miss it? There's a lot to that, sir. I want to believe we'll leave that for another day. A day we'll have enough time to take on the honorable ministers on some of these topics. We want to thank you immensely for finding time out of no time to be here with us out of your tight schedule. It's not an easy thing to have a minister around you to sit down with you and try to rekindle some of those things we were taught when they told us, Eriale, when it is late, you come around and they try to look at how you have been able to pass the day. We thank you, sir. We thank everybody for finding time out of their tight schedule to be here with us. And we want to thank the organizers and pray that Almighty God will give us the time, the life to witness the 40th OLUMIDE lecture. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, Acting Surveyor General of the Federation. I think the women in this hall would rather say this goodwill message is not gender sensitive. And we have one of them, they are all superstars, and we have one of them to come and give the goodwill for them. Permit me to invite Director of the Federal School of Survey, Surveyor Dr. Nilolawa Olahika, to come and Dosumo, to come and give a goodwill message.
Upways.
Good afternoon, sir. The President, Nigerian Institute of Surveyors, the Honorable Minister, Prime Minister of Works and Housing, and the visitor to the school, Federal School of Surveying, the Chairman of the Governing Council, Federal School of Surveying, and the Surveyor General of the Federation, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the Governing Council, management, staff, and students of your school, Federal School of Surveying, I bring you good tidings. Our commitment is to keep on fulfilling the mandate of the school in training students to become dutiful, distinguished and professionals, like our own icon and alumnus that we remember and honor annually since 1982, Pa OLUMIDE. Let me seize this opportunity to call on our old students, our alumni, to come to the aid of the school and bring it to the great, to make it the giant in human capital, in surveying and mapping, and consequently, national development. I want to thank you all for this opportunity to bring the good tidings. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ma.
Quickly, President, I want to bring to the podium the Registrar of Surveyors Council of Nigeria, in person of Surveyor M.M. Kabir, Fellow of Nigerian Institution of Surveyors. You are welcome, sir.
Your Excellency, the Honorable Minister, Minister of Works and Housing, the President, Nigerian Institution of Surveyors, past presidents, and the distinguished members present here. I'm highly delighted to be invited to give a goodwill message on behalf of Surveyors Council of Nigeria. It's really quite difficult sometimes for one to speak after the Honorable Minister has spoken. Because anytime he speaks, the crowd really goes with him. And anytime he speaks, I'm always convinced that they don't sell SAN in the market. Yeah. You have to really earn it. And the Honorable Minister has really earned his SAN. Thank you, sir, for being with us here today. Particularly, it's really encouraging anytime we have distinguished guest speakers here to speak with us. It's an annual event, but of course, we live with a lot of takeaway, take home. The Honorable Minister, within this month, we have had 2 encounters which really left me breathtaking. Not that we have not had encountered the minister, but the recent past ones, the National Council on Works at Abuchi. If you had the way the minister spoke about economy of land, economy of housing, economy of land, economy of infrastructure, one will feel that he's an engineer, because all the engineers, including the surveyors, were convinced. And today, after your 5 short stories, well, I'm fully convinced that institutions are greater than, human capacity are much greater than institutions. My coming in here, I was having the idea. Any write-up I make, I always assume that institutions. Since Obama mentioned it, it became a glitch internationally that we need strong institutions instead of strong leaders. And I think Obama was wrong. Our minister is right. Thank you, the Honorable Minister, also for having the heart for this our profession. Those of us who were in the National Council on Land, Housing and Urban Development in Abuja in 2016. If you heard the way the minister spoke gloriously about the role of surveyors in nation building, I'm sure he deserves to be given honorary fellow of this institution. Mr. President, please, there is a recorded copy of the speech of the minister in 2016. at NAV Conference Center. I was there. So thank you so much, Minister, for being with us. And the President, thank you for carrying all of us along and making us proud members of this profession. Thank you so much.
President and Honorable Minister, sir, we have here seated and all over the world. I don't want to call them senior advocates of Nigeria, but they are fellows of Nigerian institution or surveyors, the highest cadre member of Nigerian institution of surveyors, and the chairman of the board of fellow, our past president, Surveyor Chief Anthony Ashofu, is ably represented here with the vice chairman of the board. So permit me, sir, to bring to the podium Surveyor A.K. Irene Hefenais, vice chairman of the board of fellows, to give the good way on behalf of the board.
Mr. President, the Honorable Minister, and the House. The chairman would have loved to be here. Immediately after our outing in River State, the Board of Fellows meeting in River State, he traveled to United States of America for urgent attention of some domestic issues. He was supposed to come back before now, and he told me he called the president to inform him that he will not be able to come in before today. That is why I'm representing the board. Like he said, I'm the vice chairman of the board. We are here today to celebrate our past president, Surveyor OLUMIDE. He is not the only president that has gone before now, but because of his work, because of his the good work he did, that's why we're celebrating him. And we are very happy to be identified with the celebration. The question, I have been attending OLUMIDE Memorial Lecture for a very long time now, even before I became a fellow. And it's always been a pleasure to be there because we learn every day from the lectures that are delivered. And we talk about, this lecture talk about institution and capacity building. If OLUMIDE we are not good, we wouldn't have been remembering him today. And I want to ask us, we that are here, what legacy do we want to leave behind? Because when the banana must have died, the suckers will come and they will want to know what our forefathers, our fathers did. I will admonish us not to destroy the institution. We should build on it, what we have made. Because if this institution were not there, we today we will not be here. And I'm proud to be a surveyor. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. The time is fast spent. I would like the non-Nigerian to give his goodwill on behalf of the past presidents.
Honorable Minister, my Minister, distinguished members of the Council, past presidents, fellows, I'm speaking on behalf of past presidents, but I'm speaking about our Papa OLUMIDE, who passed on in 1970. At that time, Surveyor Boswanyide was asking how many people were present at the first OLUMIDE lectures. took me time before I could say yes. Because those of us in the service then, I was Surveyor General, Midwestern Region, before I became Surveyor General, Bendel State. Those of us in the service then, like our revered late Chief Oluwole Kuka, we didn't take the NIS too seriously until we were about to leave. So I didn't really start taking interest in the NIS until about 1964. I had already arrived. I know that in 1970, OLUMIDE for some years had not been active enough to come to meetings. His place was taken by Kundayo, I think, Ajayi. So meeting him was not too easy. But one thing I want to say here, to continue with what the Honorable Minister has said, is that we surveyors held City OLUMIDE in high esteem. When I was Surveyor General and the Army took over and started inspecting offices, anytime they came to survey department, I was always proud to bring out a plan, which was done by City OLUMIDE in 1927. It was a plan of the GRA, not GRA, European Reservation, which laid out the areas to be occupied by Europeans, and then all the surrounding areas, which was about 2-3 times the areas to be occupied by Europeans, building free zone. That was the start of Benin City GRA. And it wasn't until later, especially after '63, when we were driven out of Western region, that we started to carve out the remaining areas. Well, but one thing I want to say is that I always brought out that map, that plan, as evidence of what surveyors had done for Nigeria. The second plan I used to bring out was by Herbert Macaulay. He had a land dispute between the Warri and the Yoruba in 1921. The case went up to this Privy Council, and that map was there. Why am I bringing out these two maps? I was bringing them out, and I was happy. But you go to the survey department now, they don't know where these maps are. So the values that we are attached to work in City OLUMIDE's time, and I want to say that also in some of our time, maybe not all our time, it's quite completely different now. Nobody seems to take anything seriously. I asked, where are these maps? Where? Oh, the place was flooded, that kind of thing. But you see, our values and our efforts have to change if we must change to be what we are hoping that we will be. So, Mr. Honorable Minister, Lecturer, thank you very much. Zakpara, Folara, and all that. Good examples to quote. Thank you very much. We'll bear this in mind, but we want to know when we are living here that those of you who are taking over from us, some of us are retired now, should know that we must take matters very seriously. No half-hearted ventures. We must hold this institution well, and we, the men and women who are holding it, must be of strong character. Thank you very much.
President, sir. We are on item number 12, inauguration of the past President's Forum. Yes, sir.
Our guest lecturer, although I'm not trying to give the vote of thanks, but I still want to thank you for still being with us here, because this is the moment we are all been waiting for. And we are happy that you are part of this moment. Ladies and gentlemen, if you look at the program item number 12, inauguration of the past President's Forum. I'm trying to keep my medallion very well. That's why you will see that every time I'm checking it. In Sokoto AGM, that was 2015. If you are there, you will remember that a decision was taken that we should inaugurate, establish the past President Forum. We are still talking about institution. That's an institution on its own. The past presidents. You cannot beat their wisdom. I've tested it. I've found the institution of past presidents very useful, and I will continue to. I will not test, but I will continue to use. Yeah. Okay. Sorry, gentlemen. I have to. So your Elena will continue with the program while I see up the Honorable Minister. Sorry.
We'll wait for the president to come and continue the thing, not me.
Okay, thank you so much, sir. Thanks so much. So, we have tested. I don't want to go into the stories again. Within us here, we have 8 past presidents. And I'm sure this is the largest gathering of our past presidents in any ceremony, including the oldest, 90-year-old past president. I don't want to go into the history of past president because he has been doing so many unusual things that a 90-year-old man should not be doing. In Benin, he was dancing. In fact, it was not only dancing, he was dancing with style. Dancing, what? Looking at him is in the camera here. So, sir, our past president, the AGM decided that we should inaugurate the past president's forum. I'm here today by the authority conferred on me by the members of the Nigerian Institution of Surveyors. This forum is hereby inaugurated. The principal objective of the forum is they have only one duty, only one. And I will make sure it doesn't turn to 2. And the duty is to advise the president. To do what? not to advise NISO, to advise the president. So after I must be advised, I will now come to tell the NIS. So, sir, we would rely on your advice at any time. Everything that will make the forum to be comfortable, we will do it. And we pray that your advice will be useful for the institution. Like the rest I said, now he believes that the institution is stronger than so we pray that God will help you, sir. Thank you. God and bless you.
President, sir, our guest speaker and honorable minister, please, the past president would like to have a photograph with you, sir. Past president, sir.
Executive.
And the president, sir.
ESCO, please get ready. The honorary minister is will be leaving. Member of ESCO, please. Member of ESCO. Member of ESCO. ESCOs, please. So your Pato. Thank you very much, sir.
Big stinking helicopter flow through the air. With them call it weed eater. Them never did it when me was out in water. Or when me didn't flying fertilizer. Yet out of the sky them spitting fire. And I'm a little youth and with a hot temper. Me dig up me stinking rocket launcher. And in the air this was the helicopter me a chant. Some ganja planta. Call me the ganja farmer. Deep down in the earth, we put the ganja. Babylon come all at it, attack fire me a chant. Yes, I'm a ganja planter. Call me the ganja farmer. Deep down in the earth, we put the ganja. Babylon come, yeah, tuna man. True Jaja bless I with no for good vibes, man. And true me have the hardest set again in the land. Make doctors get no meditation. And so them coulda give it to them sick patient. Make chemists get no meditation. And so them coulda brew new medication. Make singers get some inspiration. And so them coulda spread a message from the land ya chant. Yes, I'm a ganja planter. Call me the ganja farmer. Deep down in the earth, we may put the ganja. Babylon come and light it at a fire, me a chant. Yes, I'm a ganja planter. Call me the ganja farmer. Deep down in the earth, we may put the ganja. Babylon come, watch it. I mean say ganja, 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 ganja. If you don't want to call it, not call it sensimilla. If you don't want to call it, not call it marijuana. If you don't want to call it, not call it the
Man to man is so unjust. Children, you don't know who to trust. Your worst enemy could be your best friend. And your best friend, your worst enemy. Some will eat and drink with you. Then behind them sus upon you. Only your friends know your secrets. So only he could reveal it. Hello, that captain. Let them wear it. Do that captain. Let them wear it. Said I throw me con. They no call no pound. I say it clap, clap, clap. Clap, clap, clap.
Distinguished fellows and members, please, we will quickly want to round up and close the program officially. Please do have your seat, please. Please do have your seat. Please, please. Yes. The president is standing, please. Let's have our seat. No. Yes, sir. Please, please, let's have our seats, please.
Girl, I've been waiting for the longest time just to run, come and give it its love. Yeah, yeah. Girl, you know that you've been on my mind. Can't sleep at night and such. Baby girl.
Now we want to use this opportunity to call upon the Deputy President of Nigerian Institutional Surveyors, Surveyor Matthew Olomonlaton Ibitoye, for the closing remarks. Please, please, let's have our seat.
Hello. Hello. Please, we have only 5 minutes to round up. 5 minutes. Please be seated. Surveyor, please, the closing remarks. 5 minutes to round up, please.
Mr. President, sir, our Honorable Minister in absentia, the past president, other members of the executives, also the invited guests, the Olumide family. It has been a wonderful time having you around for today. We want to thank Mr. President who deemed it fit to organize this 39 Olumide Memorial Lecture, and all the invited guests and the effort put in place to see that we have the Minister of Works here in our midst.
want to thank everyone, particularly our fathers that are here to grace this occasion. What a wonderful lecture we had today. It has been a wonderful time for every one of us to benefit. Please permit me to say that in our page 13, a lecture delivered in 1991, also similar to what we witnessed today, where we said man, measure, and value. Value, this time around, look for the copy at our secretariat, and you will find it that they have been talking of value. Value, value, value. Today, we have heard that value will make our institution to go forward. I want to appreciate the past president that were inaugurated today, and every one of you that make this occasion a memorable. It is true that ESCO can organize, but if you are not in attendance, then we cannot be celebrating empty chair. Once again, I want to appreciate our daddies, then the officers of the institution that come next year. All of us, we shall begin to celebrate. Our daddy that is 90, I believe will be 91. And all those that are 70, 80, they will even increase by that year. Once again, you are welcome, and God bless you as you go back to your destination. Thank you, and God bless.
Thank you, the Deputy President. Just one important announcement. The past president will be meeting at 2 o'clock. They will have a meeting under the past president's forum at 2 o'clock today at Canem Suits. 2 o'clock today at Canem Suits. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Another announcement. Surveyors that are engaged in right-of-way survey of rail line for Ibadan to Kano are to wait for information from one of our leaders.
On behalf of the president, distinguished past president, fellows, and members of the institution, we cannot but thank you so much for being here for the 39th edition of annual OLUMIDE Memorial Lecture. We thank you. We thank you on behalf of the president, and for the closing prayer, I want to call on the chairman of Ondo State branch to give us the closing prayer. And I use this opportunity for the second stanza as the closing prayer. Please, you lead us. It is on page 01. Second stanza. For the closing prayer, second stanza on page 1. Please, shall we rest on our feet as we take the closing prayer?
Shall we pray? O God of creation, direct our noble course, guide our leaders right, help our youth the truth to know, in love and honesty to grow, and living just and true, great lofty heights attain, to build a nation where peace and justice shall reign.
Amen. Thank you.
Nothing will ever change my life, but it remains the same.
This has been a sponge, sharp. So let's not. Thank you.